Many of us have childhood memories tied to specific brands, the chocolate milk power at the kitchen table, or the trusted shampoo used at bath time. For decades, massive consumer and pharmaceutical companies have invested billions to inhabit this role of the caring, wholesome family provider. However, behind these facades are staggering human costs. One food giant ran a marketing scheme that contributed to massive infant mortality in developing countries. Across the United States, a family-owned pharmaceutical company fueled a lethal epidemic with this specific product, OxyContin. A food manufacturer and a drug company, operating in completely different industries, managed to execute the same level of devastation without being stopped for decades. These cases follow a replicated three-step operational strategy, a corporate playbook used by megacorporations to maximize profit regardless of the consequences. This strategy allows a corporation to systematically manufacture the pendency under the guise of care, turning the public's trust into a captive market. The first step of the playbook relies on bypassing skepticism. In the 1970s, Nestlé expanded its infant formula market across Africa and Asia by sending sales representatives directly into hospital maternity wards. These women were dressed in actual nurses' uniforms. These representatives approached new mothers with free samples and pamphlets designed to look like official medical advice. Their goal was to convince women that artificial formula provided better nutrition than natural breast milk. Purdue Pharma employed the same tactic in 1996. They deployed a massive army of sales representatives to target American doctors, using resort conferences and all-expenses-paid vacations to incentivize high prescription volumes. Sales reps claimed the addiction risk was less than 1%, a tiny sliver compared to actual soaring addiction rates. That statistic originated from a brief, unscientific letter to a medical journal, repurposed into a core marketing claim. By adopting the aesthetic of medical authority through fake uniforms and fabricated statistics, both companies successfully bypassed the natural defenses of their targets. Step 2 is the creation of a biological trap. Nestlé's free formula samples in hospitals lasted exactly long enough for a new mother's natural milk supply to dry up. Once biologically dependent on the product, mothers were forced to buy more. In many regions, this meant watering down the expensive powder or mixing it with contaminated water, leading directly to infant starvation and disease. Nestlé compounded this extraction by aggressively pursuing the privatization of clean public water resources, forcing these same communities to pay for bottled water that was once a public resource. Purdue Pharma engineered their dependency through the design of the pill itself. OxyContin used a time-release coating that was marketed as a safety mechanism to prevent abuse. Purdue knew this coating could be easily crushed. This allowed users to bypass the time-release feature entirely, delivering a massive, instant dose of synthetic opium to the brain. As prescriptions ran out, physically dependent patients in targeted towns across the Rust Belt and Appalachia were often left with no choice but to turn to cheaper, illegal alternatives like heroin. This pill-driven economy relied on a massive supply chain. Johnson & Johnson, another household name, acted as a primary supplier of the Tasmanian opium required for Purdue's massive production volumes. These companies eventually moved past selling products and into the management of biological addictions. This model mathematically guaranteed repeat customers at the direct cost of human lives. The human toll eventually triggered massive international boycotts and legal action, forcing these corporations into the third stage of the playbook, evasion. When Nestlé faced a U.S. Supreme Court case regarding complicity in child slavery, they escaped the charges through a jurisdictional loophole. The court dismissed the case not because they found the company innocent, but because the crimes happened outside American territory. Nestlé immediately used this procedural dismissal to claim they were legally vindicated, turning a technicality into a public relations tool. The Sackler family followed a similar path. Before Purdue Pharma could be destroyed by lawsuits, the family methodically transferred over $10 billion from the company into their personal accounts. They then utilized the corporate bankruptcy process as a legal shield, attempting to protect their stolen personal wealth from the thousands of victims seeking restitution. While the crisis they fueled continued, the family spent that money to secure institutional prestige, placing the Sackler name on museums and galleries worldwide to launder their public reputation. For entities of this scale, multi-billion-dollar fines are treated as operating expenses. The ultimate lesson of the corporate playbook is that the system rarely punishes exploitation. It simply calculates the price of doing business.